What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Benny, and today I'm bringing you, in my opinion, the best formation to use in FUT Champ seasons, whatever it may be, to have the most fun, to counter other formations, and also to be a very meta formation in the game. If you guys are wanting to find out that is, obviously stay tuned to the video. Before we get to that point though, if you are new around here and you're enjoying the content, then subscribe. I'm going to be trying to get back on the grind on when it comes to the YouTube stuff. But as I always say in every video, I always say it, just never know what's around the corner, so maybe I won't be like being consistent with it, but the plan right now is to be consistent with it. So let's get into the video and show you the custom tactic and the formation and why it's so good. Right, so the formation, what you guys are wanting to use is the 4-3-1-2. As you see in my tactics, it is set as my ultra attacking tactic. This tactic is the tactic I use when I'm a couple goals down, and that is the main time I use this formation. What would make this formation actually good, like for the whole game, is if you don't play, I guess, a little bit more safe. Like, that's what I basically do. When I start the games, I like to play safe. I like to get a gauge of the game. So that's why I start with my 4-4-2 and try and understand the game. Keep everything basic, you know. But actually, if you're trying to have fun, and every time I change to this tactic, one, I score the goals, I do the comeback, and secondly, like, it's fun. Like, it's narrow, man. Like, everyone knows back in the day, using the narrow formations were the best tactic back in the day, you know. Like, Gorilla used to rinse it up, I think, back in FIFA 16 with this formation. So just shows, like, it was once a most popular formation, and I still think with the right tactics, the right sort of mindsets going into the game, it is the best formation to use. And I see a lot of people using a 5-back and a lot of stuff like that. I'll go into detail really about the 5-back in another video and I'll obviously talk about it. In my opinion, this formation actually counters the 5-back as well, and I'll explain this all once I've gone over the instructions on what you can do really when it comes to building the right tactics and stuff for yourself. As I said, for me, this is the comeback formation, and this is, I think there is a few pros and a few other players using this from the start, and as I said, I think you can really use this tactic from the start. What you've got to get in the mindset of though is, yes, you're going to concede goals, but you're going to score goals, a lot of goals, and you're going to get the ball a lot higher than how you would usually play FIFA. These are the type of things you have to consider about using this. Like, are you okay with conceding goals? If you're not, if you know, like, you haven't got that strong mental, like, I'm 2 goals down, I'm not going to do the comeback. Trust me, with this tactic, you're going to do the comeback no matter what. Some things you got to consider. Press after possession loss is the one what we're using with 6 width and 8 depth. This is shout out to Stokes, if you guys know him. I think he's got his YouTube up and going now. This tactic is basically became around because of this guy. This guy was rinsing at the start of the year using this. I guess pros are seeing it as this really overpowered tactic because it is, you know, the amount of people what get forward in the attack, the amount of people who, when you lose the ball, push forward to try and get the ball, and also when they are like returning on defense, they're ridiculously fast. It's like 2 seconds of a press, and then as soon as if they get out of the press, somehow like your defenders are running back straight away. Like, it's crazy to actually see. But yeah, this is the width and the depth I use. But as I said, this is my combat formation. So maybe if you want to play it a little bit safer, you can do a few different variations of this. For example, I would like maybe use like balanced, maybe 5 width just to lower it down, because I went 6 width because I want to obviously have my team a little bit wider on the defense, because people obviously hold the ball when they're a couple goals up. So wider team is easier to get out to their wingers basically. Depth, as I said, you might want to play this a little bit safer, so you could look to maybe like 6 or 7. And keep it this way, you know, keep it basic. You can play a little bit lower if you want, but I think where you get the best benefits of this tactic and the defense way is actually your initial press, you know. If you're good at manually pressing, balance can be fine. With obviously 7 depth as well, you get the offside glitch. If you guys don't know about this, when you play at a certain depth, I think it's from like 7 onwards, your team will automatically do offsides when they're passing it around in your final third. They do this offside traps, and it will obviously push your defensive line up and make them basically retreat the ball, or them have to like work a chance in a different sort of scenario. So that's why using the higher depth definitely does work in that sense. But as I said, for me, I use this as my starting tactic: 6 width, 8 depth, and my starting tactic, my comeback tactic. And I reckon you could easily use this tactic as a starting one. As I said, like, you just got to be in the mindset that you're going to outscore them no matter what. Offensive styles though is balanced. You could use long ball and fast build up, but because you've got so many people running forward just naturally from how the team sort of plays in game, from the instructions and so on, I really don't think you need to put long ball or fast build up on. Maybe if you're desperate for some goals and you just need them through balls, long ball could be that solution. But for me, balance, whip sit, players in the box sit. This is just the numbers, what I saw Stakes do, and I'll be honest with you, I just copied them and they work. So once again, shout out to Stokes. You know what? I'll leave his description in the bio as well, because this formation basically became around because of this guy, and he's basically the king of this formation. So instructions: in goal, cover crosses and sweep the keeper on the goalkeeper. Obviously, the centre backs stay how they come. Balanced on the right back and the left back, because it is super important if you are going to use narrow. Make sure you have balance on your wing backs, because you need the width. These wing backs don't get marked by the other team. That is just how it works. I don't know what happens with the game. I don't know why it's a thing, but basically the wingers of the defensive team will never pick up your wing backs, and they are just in this ridiculous amount of space. You've got your right centre mid and your left centre mid pushing forward, and I think that's where you're right there, like wingers slash wing backs are sort of taken up, and then it leaves this overlapping run from your right back and left back. You need the width in the build up. It's going to be super useful, so definitely recommend using this on a balance. You can, if you want to play a little bit safer, put it on stay back while attacking, but I think you lose so much going forward, it's actually not worth actually using. On the middle centre mid, I've got stay back while attacking and cover centre. This is basically your holding midfielder, you know, that guy who's just going to, on the counter attack, he's going to just be that guy to retrieve the ball, and that's as simple as that. He doesn't really do too much in that sort of sense. On the right centre mid, we just got cover centre, just very basic. This guy comes forward and goes back. He's not I would say he's not the the most attacking midfielder. He can be your little box to box type player if you really want. And then on the left centre mid, got get forward, get in the box for crosses, and cover wing on the left centre mid. Ridiculously good in my opinion, this sort of position. I think Stokes was using Hood at the start of the year. And when I've used this tactic, I've liked to use that because I start in 4-4-2. I have that extra winger. In this example, I've got Kaka. And I want that guy to be getting forward, getting in the box, you know, just trying to be like that extra man going like in the attack. At the end of the day, let's say if for whatever reason my right backs haven't, and my wing backs haven't gone forward, and my centre mid and my right centre mid haven't gone forward, I'm gonna have this like four numbers in attack, very centralised as well in Kaka, Neymar, and Mbappe. Kaka, Neymar, Mbappe, and Ronaldo would be obviously the players in that attack. So that's something I've added, and obviously getting the bots is quite good as well. If you got them overlapping wing backs, you got that extra runs. And I've got cover wing, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know why cover wing's on. I said this in my top 200 tactics. I don't know why I've got cover wing on him. It was just there when I first made this tactic, and this tactic has worked, so I haven't changed it, if that makes sense. So yeah, stay forward on the cam. This is allowing when you get the ball and retreat the ball on the counter attacks, you've got this cam ready for this like triangle up top. It's ridiculous for counter attacks. It's crazy. Like you obviously receive the ball, and then you got this triangle up top ready to just take this sort of like, depending on their formation. Obviously, they're using 4-back. You get this sort of like 3-on-2 situation through the middle. If they're using 5-back, you get this 3-on-3 situation. And this is why I was talking about why this formation is so good against 5-back. One is the number of players joining you in the attack. You got, as I said, you've got your wing backs, you've got your 2 centre mids, you've got your cam and your 2 strikers, right? This is too much for somebody just to naturally defend, no matter what formation you use, 5-back, 4-back, whatever. You know, it's hard because there's just so many runners, so many things you have to consider. There's always overlapping runs, inside runs, whatever you want really, and it's just too hard to mark. Against 5-back, as I said, they're going to have 3 centre backs. Okay, I've actually matched that in my attacking sort of approach here, because I've got a cam and 2 strikers. So it's like a 3-on-3 situation. So I think a lot of people when they play 5-back, they are aggressive with their defenders because they can be. But you don't want to be aggressive if you're using 5-back against narrow, because if you do that, you do a little 1-2, and you know how good through balls are this year. They're going to get through. So this formation for me is really good in that sort of sense to counter 5-backs and stuff like that. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw my E-Prem sort of qualifier, which I unfortunately lost in the final, but I was 4-0 down in the first leg, and second leg I started in this narrow formation and I brought it back to 4-4, and unfortunately lost in the 81st minute. But this guy was using 5-back, I couldn't really break him down when I was using the 4-4-2. When I went to narrow, it was a different game. You know, it was just too much pressure basically from my team and the defensive side and also the attacking side for him to cope with. So yeah, that is one of the main reasons you can use stay forward on the cam. And then on the strikers, you got getting behind and stay forward on both. Just trying to get as much movement up top, trying to stretch the opponents. I'm kind of getting the idea of this as well in my head now. I kind of want players to be triggering the runs forward, and I do it myself a lot manually with L1. Because what happens, the defenders have to track the run, which then allows you to have that space to attack in. So, you know, more space for you to attack in, better your build-up can be. If you just always bring somebody close or don't trigger them to go wide or go through, it's always going to be super compact and super hard for you to get through. So that is why it's super important to actually have these players on getting behind and little triggering here and there to add into your game. But yeah, as I said, this tactic is ridiculously good for me. As I said, if you want to play this a little bit different, and as I said, maybe you want to start it from the play it from the start, but you don't want to use this press after possession loss. You don't really want your three guys up top. You kind of want it to be, this is what I call it, a transformer formation. Basically, you can actually set this tactic into, it starts into like, well, when you're defending it goes to 4-4-2, but when you're attacking it goes back into 4-3-1-2. So you would probably have to get rid of this these instructions in the balance attacking and balance crossing runs. Keep it on cover wing, and then you come back on defense on your right mid, and I'm pretty sure your Neymar should go right mid, your Kaga should go left mid, and your Curtis Jones and Quadrado should go into the centre mid sort of roles. And then, like as I said, in your defense, you're playing as a 4-4-2, and then you can go into a 4-3-1-2 when you get the ball and attack. So yeah, that is something you can consider if you want to just sort of mess around with it. There's a lot of variations you can do with this formation, but as I said, I think it's the most fun. It's very meta. It counters the 5-back. There's so many 5-back players, and I'm going to make a video regarding that if people are wanting to see sort of how to use the 5-back and how to counter it. As I said, this is definitely one of the options you can do to a countering 5-back. I definitely recommend it. You can have a lot of fun using this, and I definitely recommend. In Foot Champs, have fun, man. Like, if you're stressing about results, it's not the wave, man. It's not the wave. You're just killing your mentality that way, you know. Just have fun with it. I'm a sucker for that, you know. I don't just try and have fun with when it comes to Foot Champs because I need the rewards for qualifiers and stuff. If you're just having fun with it and not stressing, you're gonna see the results. You're gonna have, as I said, you're gonna have fun. You're probably gonna finish better than you usually do. So that is it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and peace.
Thank you.